to what you'll study? Not really, no. I figure I'll come up with something when I get there. Mutao laughs. Taking things as they come, eh? I'd argue against it, but that's how I did things when I went to university. Well, not really. I knew I'd go into science, I just wasn't sure which one. Ended up with physics, but could just as well have gone in for astronomy or what have you. Actually, I did go for chemistry first, but there are all sorts of things. Mutao trails off and frowns slightly. Takes a minute for him to recover his train of thought, and I wait patiently for him to continue. So anyway, I did a lot of physics as well because I had an interest in that, but I wasn't sure if it was for me. So I went back to chemistry, and here we are, yes? He smiles at me enthusiastically as if waiting for me to confirm that yes, here we are. Somehow I get the feeling that Mutao has a plan for this conversation, but I'll be damned if I can figure it out. I'm sorry, I'm not following you. Mutao frowns and rubs his chin a bit, looking perplexed. He then snaps his fingers as if he remembered what the point of all this was. Right, yes, you, me, yes. You should look into studying one of those sciences. You're fantastic at it, unless you'd rather just go into math. Mutao makes a sour face. Not a big fan of straight math. I always like the experiments more than the proofs. You're saying I should study science at a university? Mutao seems thrown off balance by my question. Well, sort of. You could also join the science club. Trouble is, there's not actually a science club, but there could be. You could even be charter member, a founding father. Of course, you need to find other members. Well, only if you wanted to. You could just start it up with the two of us, and I could give you things you need and we could talk about them. And I could help you get ready for university and such as well. Wait. Tao rummages around his briefcase and tosses me a book. Read that. If it's interesting, then we can talk about it. A brief history of time? I don't know if I actually want to read this, but Mutao seems pretty excited about it. Well, what's it about? Time, space, space-time, black holes and such. It's not that dense. Not that dense. Just to see if that sort of thing is interesting for you. You understand? Hang around after class, and we can either discuss it, or I can show you how to make explosives in the lab. He waves a hand at my quizzical expression. Joking, sorry. Still, I've kept you here long enough for now. Think about science as a career path, Nakai. I think you'd enjoy it. Okay. I will. Thanks for the book. You. I leave the classroom and look up at the clock. Quite a chunk of time to kill until Emmy's out of practice. Guess I'll give this book a look. I should probably shower as well. Showering before a date's only proper, right? I head back to the dorms. I wonder how I'm supposed to meet Emmy anyway. She said after practice, but she didn't say where I would find her. I guess I can just swing by the track. That's probably best anyway. If she needs a shower, I can just wait for her in her room or something. Or in the hallway, I guess. That'd be better as well. I take a quick shower, remembering to take my medication once I hop out. Now for a look at this book. Katawa Shoujo, broken heart, got a bandit. Dun, dun, dun. I wake with a start. Shit, what time is it? I glance at the clock to realize I've been asleep for nearly an hour. Thank goodness. Emmy's practice should be finishing up soon. I throw on some casual clothes and head for the track. Somehow I get the feeling we won't be doing anything fancy for dinner. Emmy doesn't strike me as a fancy sort of person. Still, I suppose there's a lot I have yet to know about Emmy. Despite our newfound closeness, I still feel like I don't know her as well as I should. Oh well, I have lots of time to fix that. To be honest, TBH, I'm looking forward to getting to know her more. I'm so caught up in my own thoughts I hardly register that I'm already at the track. Emmy is nowhere to be found. I don't even see any signs of her. This could be embarrassing. I turn to head to the girls' dormitory when I hear a shout. Hey, Hisao! Oh my god, look how cute she looks. I turn around to see Emmy making a beeline for me with a gym bag slung over her shoulder. She changed in some decidedly more casual clothing, a pair of shorts and an olive green top. Her running blades have been placed by more realistic looking legs that probably wouldn't fool anyone. Emmy doesn't seem to care about that, a fact which makes me smile. Hey, you came! I mean, I figured you would, but still. I suddenly find myself wrapped in a rather affectionate hug, and it proves to be impossible for me to keep what must be the world's largest grin off my face. Well, of course I came. I'd be crazy not to, right? Emmy ponders this for a moment. You know, that's true. I mean, I'm pretty amazing after all. I shrug in response. I certainly think so. It's an offhand remark, which is why I'm surprised to see that it seems to have caught Emmy by surprise. She blushes and smiles warmly at me before planting a kiss on my lips. Now it's my turn to be surprised. Emmy steps back, resting her weight on her back heel, looking pleased with herself. My brain fumbles for an appropriate response. ... Good job. I should compliment you more often. Emmy laughs and gives me a playful shove. Jerk. I throw an arm around Emi's shoulders, and I'm pleased when she immediately leans into me as if it were the most natural thing in the world. So, where to? I'm not actually sure. Where do people go on dates around here anyway? That's a damn good question. I've got no idea. Why don't we just head down to the Aura Mart and grab something portable? Emi's face brightens at this idea. A picnic! I think you're onto something, Hisao. Emi snakes her arm around my waist and we begin to head for the front gate. I'm entirely unsure of what I'm meant to do in this situation, but at least Emi seems to be equally clueless. Despite the relaxing feeling of being with Emi, I still can't help feeling a little tense. What if I do something wrong? I'd hate to make an ass out of myself. Don't worry, Hisao. I'm sure she'd tell you. She'd be like, you're making an ass of yourself. The trip to the Aura Mart is accompanied by Emi's chatter about how practice went. I keep quiet for the most part, merely enjoying the warmth of being around Emi. We get a few odd books from passerby. Odd looks, not books. But I don't mind. We wind up buying some bread and instant noodles, realizing too late that we cannot actually cook the latter in the park. Oh well, I'll make it for lunch or something. That'll work. The park is located after a brief loss of direction that I blame entirely on Emi. She, of course, blames me. We find a spot beneath a tree and sit down. I lean back against the tree. Emi sits across from me. I guess we should have brought a blanket or something to sit on, huh? Emi shrugs. I don't mind. Neither do I. Emi tosses me a package of bread and we dig in. Curry bread. Interesting. Guess I wasn't really paying attention to what I grabbed in the store. Hey, Hisao, you look like your bread's a little spicy. I shake my head, trying in vain to keep an image of manliness. Nah, it's hardly spicy at all. I see. That must be how your face has gotten so red. Yes, exactly. The lack of spice has, got my blood up. Because of the disappointment. Emi laughs and swallows the last of her bread. Well, if you can't handle it, I'll be glad to take it off your hands. Hey, just because you wolfed down yours so quickly doesn't mean I'm just going to give you mine. Emi mock pouts causing me to nearly choke on my bread with laughter. Oh, come on, Hisao. Aren't you supposed to be concerned with making sure I've got enough to eat now? We're dating, you know. Though, Emi looks troubled all of a sudden. I can't say I feel any different. What do you mean by that? What makes this a date? It's just what we would have done anyway, really. But this should feel different because when we had lunch we were friends, but now we're a level above friends. You sound like Rin. Laughter escapes and Emi grins. Well, she might have put that thought into my mind. We've talked about that sort of thing before. Really? About me? Not really, just stuff, really. Rin thinks that the change of the label from friend to girlfriend seems arbitrary most of the time. Like there's no difference between the two. I can think of at least one, you know. You don't tend to kiss your friends quite as much. For the second time that day, Emi blushes slightly and giggles. I suppose you're right. Exactly, I'm always right about things like this. Emi rolls her eyes and chuckles. Guess you're pretty smart, huh? I nod in agreement. Yep. Even Matao thinks so. He thinks I should go into some scientific study after graduation. Emi raises an eyebrow. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm thinking I actually might do just that. Really, the more that I consider the idea, the more it appeals to me. Make a mental note to look into it a little more closely. So what are you thinking of doing after graduation? Still planning on running? Emi shrugs, seeming almost a bit hesitant. I don't know. If I'm good enough and I can find a team, I guess. You mean you aren't sure? I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. Really. You probably should, you know. Graduation isn't that far off. Emi fidgets a little nervously. Yeah, well, it's far enough, right? Besides, I've got other things to think about. There's a mischievous flash behind Emi's eyes, and I suddenly find myself gloriously pinned against a tree. Like making sure this is a real date, right? I mean, if we don't kiss, then it's not a real date at all, right? I suppose... Strawberries and curry. Not the best combination, but I don't think I mind. Emi sits back on my legs and grins again. There, science would approve, right? I have the oddest mental image of Matao nodding seriously and making a mark on some checklist. Can't help laughing at the idea. While I'll admit, this is the first time I've ever witnessed a kiss met with laughter before. Should I feel offended? No, I'm sure science approves. Emi beams at me, and I find it increasingly difficult to keep my brain functioning properly. Oh, good. It is at this point I notice Emi has stolen the remainder of my curry bread while I was otherwise preoccupied with images of teachers wielding clipboards. Hey! Emi tries to look innocent, but considering she just crammed the last bits of bread into her mouth, it does not appear to be working. Sorry, couldn't resist. Thief! A shrug from my companion is all I get in response. Use your feminine wiles on me. I wasn't that hungry anyway, but I still feel that the point needs to be made. Emi seems confused by the